going to show you some additions we're adding to our backyard chicken farm. We've got 15 buff Orpingtons. Those are going to be our layers that we're adding to the hens we have out back now. Some of the older ones I think we're going to pass on to our son. He wants to start raising some chickens. Some of them, you know, he wants as pets and maybe layers. They're kind of just want the fun of having chickens. But also to this mix, I've got 6 Cornish cross, if I remember right. Those are going to be our meat birds. And we've never raised meat birds before, so it's something new to us. We're going to be learning about that. But I'm going to show you just the simple way that we've done brooding before. You know, we've raised, I think we've been doing this 2 or 3 years now. So we've had 2 or 3 sets of baby chicks that we've done. And we've just done it the simple way in a plastic tote. I'll bring the camera in and show you how we set that up. You know, I looked at all the ways you can build brooding boxes and stuff like that. It'd be cool to have one, but I don't really see that it's necessary. If you've got the wood, you've got the space, or you just want to be crafty, you know, go for it. But this is a quick, simple way to do it. You can do it in a spare room. Heck, if you want to do it in your front room. But got it here in my computer room. I'm going to bring the camera in and I'll show you our setup. Alright guys, so what we start here with is just a Rubbermaid tote of some sort. This originally we used to keep our koi in when we were cleaning our koi pond. You know, we put some water from the pond, put our koi in it, clean out the pond, then transfer them back. But the last couple of years it's been our brooding box. What we are using as bedding now, or I guess you want to call it bedding, is pine shavings. We used to use straw or hay. One of my other videos you can see where we started using pine shavings or tested it out in our chicken coop. Really love the stuff. Our coop has stayed clean. It's much easier to clean. It doesn't mat down as much as straw or hay. Just seems cleaner in there. Like I said, it's much easier to clean up. But that's what we're using now in our brooding box. And we bought these chickens, about a week or so ago. And so they've been in here already. And it's been pretty easy keeping clean. Every couple days you want to clean it out, especially the number of birds that you know, if you have a large number of birds in that box. We actually have quite a few birds in this box. Our plans are actually tonight or tomorrow we're going to get another box and do the same setup to kind of split the birds up because there's just too many in here. It's becoming unsanitary too quickly, if you know what I mean. But anyway, what I'll do is take the birds out and transfer them to another holding box for just a moment. And if you have cats or animals, you might want to make sure it stays covered. But anyway, I will take the tote outside with the pine shavings and the mess from the birds, and I put it out around the plants and stuff and use it as kind of a mulch. I've also taken some out and dumped in our compost pile. But anyway, enough yapping, let's get on to this. Well, before I get to that, I just put enough in here to give a couple inches. Okay. I'll reposition the camera here in just a moment. But then we take a brick, we lay in there, and that's to kind of keep the pine shavings out of the food and the water, which, yeah, you try, but it still happens. Little feeder we have. And also using one like this because we've added so many birds to it right now. The water, same deal. I took my brick outside. I need to go get it, so you'll just have to imagine that I'm setting it on a brick. But anyway, we'll put that in there. And let me switch this because I want I don't want the water to be directly under the light that I set up. Anyway, so now I'm going to add the chicks. Okay, come here, chicks. There's a couple of our little buff Orpingtons. Come here. Grab about 3 of them at a time. As I said, this is a little crowded right now. Tonight or tomorrow, depending on how we do on time, we're going to go get us another tote and do the same type of setup, as I was saying, and split the birds up a bit. So we have 15 of these buff Orpingtons. And 6 of the Cornish meat birds. And we will keep them in here, oh, maybe, I thought, if I remember right, I think it was 7 weeks. One to let them get fully feathered, one to let them grow up a little bit, you know, before we introduce them to the outside. If you're starting fresh and the weather's nice and you have a place for them, you know, you might be able to go a little bit earlier. But where we already have existing birds, I want these to be able to handle their own, if you know what I mean. But we still have to introduce them to the other hens easy. You know, we're going to have a little closed-in area for them to let the older hens see the younger ones without actually being able to get to them. And there's the last of our buffs. Let me get a couple of these. Come on, up, you wanted to fly, huh? Go on in there. Come on. Yeah, a little bit more room. Up. Yes, he wanted in there. All right. Okay, now, as I said, I'm going to give you a shot in on top of the birds, and then we'll continue on. Well, there you go. Probably a little shook up after being moved around and put into the smaller container. Oh, we got our older chickens out running around in the yard. I just seen them out of the corner of my eye, but anyway, let's get back to showing you about the brooder. Well, now that we have the chickens back in there, or the chicks back in there, we want to talk about a covering for the brooder. You definitely want to have a covering over the brooder, especially if you have animals, cats especially, or if you have small children that want to get at the birds. You know, you want to make sure that it stays covered. My grandson, he would be holding the birds all day long if he got a chance. But we used like plastic, I don't know what you want to call it, like gates, toddler gates that would go in a doorway. We've used that before. We had like a plastic playpen type area that was removable. We took the sides and we laid that on here. And it was alright, but those seemed to get knocked off a lot. You had to put weight on it. But the cats would always seem to find a way to knock it over. What we've gone to is using just a wire mesh. And I don't know if you can see that there, but get tape off that. But I folded it in half, and if I remember right, that's like 1/4 inch squares on that. But I measured out the distance that I needed to cover the tote that I'm using, and then went a few extra inches on both sides. Then I roll it in, and then we roll. Sorry, birds, I know I'm scaring the death out of you and making all kinds of noise, but we just kind of tuck the edges in. And You may, especially if you do have young children that may be curious about the birds and want to get up there, take your snips and go around and cut off any loose or sharp edges that may be on the screen. But we just tuck it around like that. And then we use the usual type of light, excuse me here. The warming light. And I put it on the edge, and then there's a little hook on the light I put over the screen. And that kind of holds that end of the screen down. Let me wrap that around. And that holds that end on. And then at this end, we just take something like a small weight just to help hold that down. Well, there's our simple brooding box. We've been happy with it. We've used it for the last couple of years. I keep saying that I'm going to build a nice wood one, to keep the chicks in. But this works fairly well, and it's easy to clean, easy to sanitize when the chicks are of age and they're ready to go outside. You don't have to worry so much about storage spot as if you had a large brooding box, trying to find a place to put it when you're not using it. Of course, you can use the tote for other things as long as you're not putting anything in there that will harm the chicks when you go to use it again. Well, thanks for watching. If you have any comments, suggestions, especially suggestions, like I said, we've done this for a couple of years, but we can always learn stuff. So if you got any ideas or suggestions, please leave them down below. Again, thanks for watching, and keep you up to date on the progress as the birds grow.